All right, Broncos country, your Denver Broncos are 12-2. Can you believe it? And can you believe that they're going to keep on winning? I do. I believe. But does Colum Cronin from the Dublin to Denver podcast believe? We're going to find out on the Mile High Monsters today. This is a big game for the Denver Broncos this week. The Jags are no joke. Just as I said about those Green Bay Packers, this is a real football team, Colum. This is a big game for them. They are going to be with the Houston Texans right on their heels. They are certainly coming to Denver with their eyes on winning this game. How are you, sir? What are your initial thoughts on this game?
I'm not too shabby at all, thank you. And getting very close to game day on this side of the Atlantic, Mike. This is game of the week, even though it is not in prime time. And for that, I can say on this side of the Atlantic, I'm quite thankful because usually when it is game of the week, we get playing at a ridiculous time on a Sunday. I think this is an intriguing matchup, and this is what you want. We talked a few weeks ago, right, about how Talib had said that maybe you need a loss before you go into the playoffs. I was disagreeing with Akib, from a distance, but.
You don't wear a necklace, do you?
But if so, I keep it well hidden. But what this is the type of game I think you want to test yourself, right? And last week was an example of it. And the Jags are really hot, and they're on a 5-game win streak. They're putting up points. Trevor Lawrence is playing really well. Liam Cohen has done a great job. It's a great test, and this is what you want.
I agree. Now, David and I, from David Talks Broncos, we did talk about this very subject, about whether a team needs to lose heading into the playoffs, all that. And I think there's a case to be made for that sometimes with some teams, but it's not this type of team. I don't think the Broncos need to lose a game to wake up. They've been winning a lot of really last minute, grind it out, find a way to win games. So to have that, sort of history over a season, this isn't a team that feels like they're going to beat, they're going to blow everybody out and they're not going to overlook somebody. They've, obviously 1-score games have been the theme all year. And even though that Green Bay Packers game and then the Raiders game ended in 1 score, the Raiders game really was a blowout. That was kind of like a pretty dominant performance by them. But no, this isn't a team that needs to lose a game. This is a team that needs to win this game. The Broncos are going to be ready for them, and they better be. Now, Trevor Lawrence has had his ups and downs, but over the last few weeks, 5 weeks, I guess, they're on a 5-game win streak. Is that correct? Like he's averaging, or the team is, they're averaging like 30 points a game. They can put up some points. This is going to come down to, in my opinion, controlling the run game, making them one-dimensional. They'll get into the red zone, and then it's the red zone defense versus the red zone offenses. Can we beat them at that game? Can VJ do what he does by holding? I think the Jags are going to move the ball. Can he hold them to field goals? And then can Bo keep up this amazing run of scoring touchdowns? Colum, what do you think about that? What do you think this game's going to come down to?
I think there are a couple of big factors in this game to keep an eye on, right? And you're right to point out about Trevor Lawrence in this 5-game win streak, 13 touchdowns, top 3 in deep passing metrics. He hasn't turned the ball over in 3 straight games, and that's an area where one area where this defense struggles, right, is the turnover side of things. If they got more turnovers, my goodness, would they be something else? But equally against Arizona a few weeks back, he couldn't help but turn the ball over. He had three touchdowns, but he threw 3 interceptions and he had 3 sacks. Now they have teams improve as the season goes on, or can improve, can equally fall off. But we've seen them have some nightmare games. They gave up 7 sacks against the Seahawks. They gave up 7 sacks to the Rams. Denver is a sack happy team. So I think one of the key matchups here is getting to Lawrence and putting the pressure on him, right? Because I think any QB is vulnerable to pressure. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, they'll all tell you that, particularly pressure up the middle. And we know that the Broncos can do that. And that young QBs, you heard Kyle Shanahan talking about it this week, and Sean Payton has talked about it as well. The disguised look, right? That is, and that's one of the reasons that overall QB yards, touchdowns, it's down on where it was, 10, 12, 14 years ago. Defenses play a lot more disguise now. And that makes it trickier. And so you saw Vance Joseph's defense in the second half last year, complex coverages, and Jordan Love got flustered. And Trevor Lawrence, it could be the same. So while their line has improved, I do think that the pressure that the Broncos can bring from all angles, and particularly up the middle, you can, force Lawrence into mistakes. And I think that's one thing that we want to see, because he is a QB with a gifted arm. He is a QB who can make things happen. But you can spook horses, and I think you can do the same to QBs.
Yeah, and it was nice to see both Patrick Surtain and Moss get off the schneid and make interceptions. I believe Tillman still leads the team in interceptions, which is just a crazy thing. If that still stands, I didn't look it up. But as far as that pressure up the middle, Zach Allen, again, I think he and Watt, is it TJ Watt or JJ Watt? Like the only 2 players to ever have 2 seasons of back-to-back, 40 plus. Like, he's a pressure machine up the middle, and opposing teams have had kind of their way with our edge rushers. Like, we come out just on fire early, and then they're able to take those guys out of the game a bit, at least early in the games. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I do think that the Broncos pass rush is going to affect Lawrence in this game. The last 5 games they've played were against the Jets, the Colts, the Titans, the Cardinals, and then, of course, that blowout win over the Chargers, which we're all eternally grateful for, Jaguars. But they haven't really been playing defensive juggernaut teams of late. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens to, their passing game, their blocking, they can run the ball, and Broncos will have to watch that. But it'll be interesting to see if they can play that quick game and control what VJ is going to bring him, because I think he's going to go after him pretty early in this game. I don't think we want to get in a shootout with these guys. I think he's going to want to go after him. I think the pass rush could be a big deal there too. I guess I agree with you there. Now, would you say, and I'm just going to ask you, now, I want to bring this up. Now, we've talked about RJ, we've talked about JK. JK is still the leading rusher on this team, and he hasn't played for 3 weeks. This is week 4 that he hasn't played. Now, I'm a little higher on RJ than you, and I've seen enough to know that I wish we had a bigger body back there, and we don't. We just signed another small running back. So, will the Broncos be able to run the ball against the Jaguars this week?
That's where it's going to be real tough, because the Jags are the best run defense in the league. And they gentlemen have a type. They say gentlemen prefer blondes. Sean Payton has a type. Are you a 5'8" running back who is 200 to 205 pounds? He wants you. He wants you on his roster, and that's a key piece. I'm glad that you brought that up, because it is an area, and as good as Bo has been over the past few weeks, you don't ever want to become completely one dimensional.
Yeah.
I think Harry out of the backfield is really exciting, and he can make things happen. I think he tries really hard. I think he can break, but we haven't seen that. But he's not your bell cow back. And against Green Bay last week, he averaged 3.4. He had the fumble. We want to see more from him, and want to see more as we move towards the playoffs. And I think that is something to keep an eye on, right? Because the Jags generally do very well this season against the run.
Yeah. And I watched, and of course, rewatched the game, the Packers game, and there were quite a few negative plays for RJ Harvey. So he was losing yards on several plays. He's kind of a touchdown machine, though, which is good thing. And so I don't have my orange glasses yet. David's supposed to send me some, but when I get them, I'll start wearing my orange tinted glasses. But I'm higher on RJ. The fumble, his first and only fumble, was unfortunate. It was a great play. I was surprised that Sean went back to him, set him out one series and then went back to him. All in all, when I watched the performance of that game, I think this goes to the tweet that you sent out where it's like, I know he only rushes this and other than this and this and that, but he's still great. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is the 3.8 yards per carry doesn't exactly tell the whole story either, because there was, and there always is, but there weren't a lot of yards to be had there for quite a bit of that game. The runs that he did have, I don't know. Give me a glimmer of hope that if we can not have him get him tackled as soon as he gets the ball in the backfield on half of his carries, then maybe we do have something there. That's all I'm saying. It looked a little bit like he was getting the ball, taking one step, and getting tackled. So I'm not saying that he's trying to bump everything around the outside. I think his vision's improving a little bit. I'm hopeful, but I'm not hopeful on the room. I still think you're right. Sean has a type, and it's kind of driving me crazy. I did a whole show on that where you go to the amusement park and there's that indiscriminate sort of animal figure that you have to be taller than this to get on the ride. Well, he has one that you have to be shorter than, and it's 5'8". And if you're taller than that, he doesn't want anything to do with you. So we had our chance to
do you know what's crazy is that JK it does not fit into that. And hey, he was absolutely sensational this year. So guess what, Sean? You can break with type, and good things can happen.
I think we might be making. We're gonna have to really do a study on him and see if that's because I think he loves J.K. Dobbins, and I think if J.K. Dobbins was still on the team, he'd still be starting. What was J.K.?
Oh, he would absolutely.
He's like 5'10". He's like 5'10", 215. So certainly a good size back, and yeah, we certainly miss him. But yeah, Harvey's only got 419 yards on the season still, and in 10 games, Dobbins was at 772. He's on pace for 1,300 plus yards on the season. So we're gonna miss him. We'll see what happens in the playoffs. But Bo Nix, now you are a certified Bo Nix hater and traitor and non-believer. So now that
me and Stephen Ruiz are like that when it comes to how we evaluate Bo Nix.
Now, look, obviously I'm joking, but look, man, I love what VJ's doing. I love what our offense is doing. I'm a little frustrated with them. I do, as a fan, I get that out. On game day, I'll be like, why are we letting them go up and down the field? Why are there wide open receivers everywhere? And they do this every week. And then somehow they get in the red zone, and later in the game we managed to kind of shut them down. But the one thing that has changed for me is Bo Nix is playing better. Now everybody's trying to assign this to a reason. What are they doing differently, and what is Sean doing differently? And there's a little bit of that, but Bo Nix is playing better. He's playing really, really good football. I'm liking what I'm seeing there. I'm not seeing him skittish in the pocket lately. I'm seeing him actually move up in the pocket, and like that touchdown pass to Troy Franklin was just an amazing throw, and the pocket's collapsing around him just like it should, but he steps right up where he should, and he makes that throw. We weren't seeing that early in the season, certainly last year either. Like, we're seeing like a lot of that. He's looking off safeties. He's going through his progressions. He's doing all the things you want to see. Bo Nix is winning a lot of these games for us. I think this is why they can keep winning despite this run game with that defense. What are your thoughts on Bo? Where do you stand with him right now? And maybe even where do you stand with Bo and Sean? Do you think Sean's taken the reins off a little bit and giving him plays that maybe work a little bit better for him that he likes? Is it a combination of things?
I think it's a combination of things. I think Peyton always puts a lot on his QBs, and I think you see them kind of, particularly the young, like Bo has improved now as the season has gone on in both of his years, right?
Yeah.
And I think Peyton wants his team to get better as the season goes on, and I think he is prepared to take those early struggles and force Bo to learn. Sean is not shy, quiet, retiring. Sean is not demure. Sean does not lack for confidence or self-belief.
Wow.
And Sean Payton is a fantastic head coach. He's comes up with great game plans, and you've seen Bo grow, right? I think the big thing about Bo, and where Bo is the absolute antithesis of Drew Lock and Jay Cutler, is he works, he thinks, he studies, he puts the head down, he does the hard work, and that is huge. And you need that, right? Particularly in Sean Payton offense. Sean Payton's playbooks are massive, right? And he's a lot goes on the offensive line as well, and kudos to our guys. But Ollie Conley had a really good piece this week in the read option, and he talked about how Peyton has the average NFL playbook is about 600 pages. Sean Payton's playbook has 300 pages just dedicated to protections. So that gives you a sense of like what he brings. And Bo has shown, like, since the mini buy and the buy, so over the last 4 games, Bo is above 60% in terms of completion, right? And one game over 80. But he didn't have that earlier in the year. We might see a couple of games. I think at one point we had 3 games, but he hadn't got to 4. It would drop back down. And so that consistency is really, really important. You can see Bo is moving, the climbing of the pocket, right?
Yeah.
And that pass to Franklin, that's key. That's what differentiates you at the top level, the ability to climb the pocket. And that's what we're seeing. He's always had the ability to avoid sacks, and that continues, and that's really, really key. But he also spreads the ball around, right?
Oh, yeah.
He has Cortland Sutton, and he talked about it last week. He went to Cortland Sutton even on the 4th down, but he's not afraid to go and to utilize all of the different targets. Bo, I think the fact that he is doing this when the run game is so ineffective, he deserves enormous kudos. But I do think Sean Payton deserves plenty as well. This is not one or the other. I think this is both, and I think they clearly work well together. There's a lot of mutual respect there, and Bo isn't afraid to bite back, but equally Sean isn't afraid to put a lot on his rookie QB.
That's absolutely true.
Not rookie anymore, but young QB.
No, young QB, but still, as Sean Payton. So this is Shefty tweeted this out. With the Broncos win on Sunday against the Jaguars, Peyton will join Bill Belichick as the only head coach in NFL history with at least 5 13-win seasons. Yeah, let's not doubt on Sean Payton. But back to Bo here. Yeah, you brought up a great point. Like last week against Green Bay, you had Michael Bandy and little Jordan Humphrey both catching touchdown passes. I think it was the Peyton. It was, I almost said Patriots. It was, not sure which game it was, but I think everyone who was eligible to catch a pass in the first half had caught a pass from Bo. Obviously has, Cortland is his whoopee, his comfort zone. But would it be surprising to you to know that Cortland Sutton has 100 targets and Troy Franklin has 94 targets on the season? It's only 6 passes different. Now, the results are different because Troy Franklin tends to drop the ball, but that's kind of coming around too. They both have 6 touchdowns, but names like Pat Bryant, he's coming back now. This is a big boost for this Broncos team, but only 1 touchdown on the year. Surprising. You've got RJ Harvey has 4. A lot of players have a touchdown pass. Like, I think Bo's not that particular about who's going to get the ball. And I think that's kind of a Sean Payton thing too. Like, read the coverage, make your throws based on that. Which is why I think you don't see Bo, anymore. Like, very rarely will you see one receiver just go off and everybody else doesn't get anything. That might be a sign that we don't have a superstar receiver, but it might be a sign that, he's not forcing the ball into someone, and I think that's a good sign for us too, Colum.
Absolutely, and it very much is, a Sean Payton piece, because he wants to make it difficult to defend, right? If you have a superstar, like, fine, but at the same time, if everything goes through one player and that's your offense, then that is, a real um, a real problem if teams can shut that down. But if everyone's involved, then you're very difficult to defend against, and teams don't know what to do, and it keeps them off balance. And yeah, I think that very much is a Sean Payton piece. And I think the thing to remember is that where this team was when he came in, and the fact that we are doing this with the highest paid player on the highest paid Denver Bronco is not on the roster. That's Russell Wilson. So, that's a real feather in the cap for Peyton, and he deserves kudos for that. He at times deserves criticism, and I don't think either of us are shy in doing that. But he deserves plenty of kudos for the game plans that he does.
Yeah, some interesting. Totally. Some interesting things I saw on Bo Nix. He's got the highest passer rating when trailing in the fourth quarter. I think your eyes would tell you that anyway, but that's still a nice stat. This one for our check down merchant quarterback, most touchdown passes on downfield throws this season. Bo Nix is 5th behind Drake May, Goff, Stafford, and Darnold. Very good company there. And then there was a lot of talk about how Bo was really struggling against zone defenses, and I think he was for a while. He was definitely performing better against man coverage, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But I think the Jags are going to probably play some zone coverage here. They're the 7th highest rate in zone coverage. Bo's thrown for the 6th most yards and TDs versus zone. So maybe it's not as bad as we think. Do you think that they are going to play zone?
I think they will. I think you'll see the Jags play plenty of zone. But just to an additional piece on the deep downfield passes, the wide receiver targets and receptions on passes thrown 30 plus yards downfield.
You're not going to bring up the Troy Franklin 1 out of 16.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Oh, man.
Because that is that's such an outlier. Jackson Smith-Njigba has been obviously the outstanding receiver in the league this year, and he 11 and has hauled in 9 of those. So that's the top end, but Franklin is the absolute floor. And if that improves, and hopefully Franklin seems to be taking steps as well in terms of improvement, that could make an enormous difference to this offense, right? 1 in 16 is not sustainable. I mean, you move that up, right? And let's say that you end the season and it looks like, I don't know, 6 of 24. Well, statistically, that's an enormous jump and would make a real difference to our offense. So that would be my hope. And I think that's part of the reason why, Nick struggled so early in the season.
Nerd. You're a nerd with those numbers. David Yonkin says, just subscribe. Thank you, man. Hey, everybody watching, thank you for watching. First of all, please like and subscribe if you would. We would love to have that. And also head over to check out the Dublin to Denver podcast, which is one of my favorites. And subscribe to that if you listen to podcasts. It's a great listen. My guy Strez says Bo versus zone has improved drastically in recent weeks. It's actually been crazy to see. Now, Strez, a couple of things that you need to know about Strez is he actually played the game at the college level and really knows what he's talking about. And he has a great show, which is now an NFL show. So he's going to be covering the whole NFL, and I'm really excited to see that. I don't have it in front of me. I know you renamed it. Put it up here on the screen so we can all see that if you're still watching Strez. I want to make sure that gets out to everybody. David Talks Broncos says, hello. He's probably getting his oil changed. As usual for David at David Talks Broncos. You guys know that he's on the show every week with me, at least twice, for the post game with Zach and one other show. But that one catch was great. Yeah. So if you're talking, Pro Football Hub, guys, check out Pro Football Hub on YouTube. Strez is just one of my favorite dudes, and also just really knows what he's talking about, which is honestly why this guy's on the show, because he knows what he's talking about too. So I got to get you and I got to get Colum and Strez on the same show. Let's see who knows what. We're going to have a little contest. Yes, another oil change. Thanks, David. So we're going to keep this one. We got about 3 minutes left. Love the chat. Thanks for everybody coming in the comments. It's good to see you guys. What's your give us a final prediction. Any final thoughts on this game? I guess I'll go first this time. I think the Broncos win this game. I think the Jags are going to come in very much needing to win this game. I think they're going to play well, but I think it will be the red zone defense that will get the job done. And I think we will, regardless of what Jacksonville has been doing, I think this is going to be a different game for them than they're used to. This is at Mile High. This is a team that's rolling. Bo Nix is playing his best football. I'd love to see a 2-score win against Jacksonville, but I'll say it'll be something like 31-21. I'll give them 2-score. We're going to win this game, 31-21. Go ahead, throw a wet blanket on it. See if I care. I don't care. Go ahead.
The only thing I would say is to keep an eye on the flags in this game, because you've got the most penalized team in the league going up against the second most penalized team in the league, and you've got a flag happy crew, so that could be a factor. Sean Payton has talked about it week in, week out, about the need to clean up penalties. We've done better on that. Last week against the Packers, that was a big factor. Crowd noise was a big factor. If you are going along to the game, please, ensure that you are hoarse for Christmas. It will be worth it. I think the Broncos have enough. I do think we have to show up, and I think we got to bring our A game, because I think the Jags feel disrespected, and I think they're underdogs, and they like
So do the
that.
Broncos, though.
They do, but the Broncos have got a bit more love in recent times. Like,
All right.
no, the Jags rightly, and the fact is that, you know, the national media don't pay any attention to them, and they've never had the success, right? We have 3 Super Bowls. We've been to a ton of Super Bowls. We have players that be, you know, John Elway will be talked about forever. Shannon Sharp will be talked about forever. Terrell Davis we talked about forever. The Jags don't have that. They don't have the history. They feel disrespected. I get that. This is a very good team. It's a very dangerous team. And if the Broncos don't show up, the Jags could do a number on us. That said, I think the Broncos will show up, and I think the Broncos win this game. I think the Jags will score points, but I think we'll score more. I could see this being sort of 32-24 type game.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if I would be sad, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Jaguars came in there and got it done. But I will say this, again, the Jags are coming off a stretch of games where they haven't had to put much work into it. So, like the Packers, coming in there, they can come in and play well, which the Packers did, and still go away with a loss. Like, this is a good Broncos team. And if you're paying attention in Broncos country, Sean Payton actually gave a class on crowd noise. He told you that when they're in the huddle, the opposing team is in the huddle, that's where the noise makes a lot of difference. It's not just a snap count. It starts when they're in the huddle, because people miss calls and they don't hear things, and it makes life hell for them. And it looks like the Broncos Mile High crowd is back, and they are doing that. We both have a win for the Broncos. Sitting at 12-2 feels good. Sitting at 13-2 will feel even better, Colum.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Sean taking the opportunity to teach people. Wonderful, but man, can you imagine what he must be like if you're like anything? Imagine being his kid, or just you're trying to cook and Sean Payton is watching over your shoulder and just like
mansplaining everything
like
to you.
Everything.
Yeah.
But heck of a football coach, done an incredible job. And I think we can be delighted with everything that has happened in Broncos country, particularly over the last couple of years, and long may it continue. The race for the number 1 seed, if everything has to run through Denver in January, we will be serious business.
Yeah, I agree, and I think Broncos country will agree with you. The rest of the AFC West, there's a little bit of work to done. The Chargers are on our heels. Big game in Dallas for them. Chiefs and Raiders are both out. So with that, short show tonight. It's family night here at the Carmelini Ranch. For Mr. Colum Cronin, I'm Mike Carmelini. This is the Mile High Monsters. We absolutely would appreciate a like and a sub on the way out, if you would, or just a like. It's up to you. We appreciate you watching. I guess all that's left to say, Colum, as you know, is go Broncos.
Go Broncos.